Hello, I'm Dahl Russell, and today I get to share with you one of my all-time favorites, Exsultate Jubilate, the work of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. I am recording this on Father's Day weekend, so it's only appropriate that I'm actually spending a lot of this talk telling you about Mozart's father, Leopold Mozart, and then how Leopold's life and work and attitudes influenced Mozart and his attitudes and his work. Mozart referred to this work, Exsultate Jubilate, as a motet, but most musicologists agree that it's really a concerto for soprano and orchestra. While today it is usually sung by a woman, in Mozart's day, music was a man's world, even the soprano parts. This was actually written for a man, the great Italian castrato Venanzio Rauzzini, whose powerful high voice was greatly admired. Today we make assumptions of the castrati, that they were effeminate, but they were the supreme sexy pop stars of their day. This work, Rejoice, Be Glad, is considered a virtuosic showpiece of power, technique, and stamina, however one comes by the range. It was premiered in January 17th of 1774, so it was a joyful work of hopefulness of a new year. Mozart was only 16 when he composed this, and he had already had his operas performed. Most classical music lovers know quite a bit about Mozart, but may not know quite as much about his father, Leopold. So I'll fill in some of that, and then we'll get into how the father-son relationship influenced Mozart. Leopold was born the son of a bookbinder, and when his father died, he was sent to study for the priesthood. But at 16, young Leopold was hired as a valet and musician. While the very rich nobility had their own house orchestras, in the houses of lesser nobility, this was the norm, that being a musician was a secondary skill for a servant with another job. It is a great tribute to Leopold's talent as a violinist and composer that he rose through the ranks to become court composer to the Prince Archbishop of Salzburg in his late 30s, a position which he kept for the rest of his life, while attempting to mold and manage the career of his exceptionally talented children, but especially the little boy, little Mozart. In the year of young Wolfgang Mozart's birth, Leopold published his A Treatise on the Fundamental Principles of Violin Playing, which laid out his teaching principles. It is a work that is still studied with interest today, and Mozart, as a young violinist, would have been considered the best proof of Leopold's success as a teacher and his method. As a composer, his works were strong enough to later be confused for the work of his son. Although often criticized for exploiting his son and commercializing his talents, Leopold Mozart sincerely felt it was his God-given obligation to develop such abilities and to exhibit them to the world. In a typical, complex parent-child relationship, he wanted the best for his son, but he did also see that his son's phenomenal talent and success reflected well on him. The well-known antipathy that Mozart held for Salieri was really a direct reflection of the attitudes he held towards his own father. For a variety of reasons, he would not denigrate and be openly contemptuous of his own father's work and his father's position at court, but he could and did voice these feelings about Salieri. This would have been mystifying to both Leopold and Salieri. They played the game to perfection. They had secure and esteemed positions that were the envy of most musicians, including young Mozart. Leopold and Salieri from the earlier generation had the ability to put up with the slights and indignities for the larger goal of stability and recognition. Although he helped to create the little monster, Leopold was justifiably concerned with Mozart's attitude that he was better than the people who paid him, and with his artistic temperament that made young Mozart bristle and balk when he was treated like a servant who should just be quiet and do it as he was told. As with Justin Bieber today, most mature audience members would have agreed Mozart was talented, but they would also have seen him as a very troubled young man whose bad decisions made his own life more difficult. Considering that he wrote this piece at 16, that's where I'll leave off with Mozart and his father. Young Mozart was willing to credit and direct this gratitude and glory towards God, even if he isn't willing to credit his noble benefactor and boss. We'll hear his work that is filled with the joy, grandiosity, and exuberance of youth. Exsultate Jubilate. I'm Dahl Russell. Enjoy.